Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem B'cha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. This is just basically various topics. Um, July 24th, 2021, the year of hastening the coming of our Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. I don't really have anything prepared, just on my way here, I had the urge to go live, even though I didn't have a topic. Then when I got here, the spirit really wasn't there, so I just sat around for a little bit. And the spirit is back on me to do something. I don't have anything to go into, so whatever the spirit feeds me, I'll feed you. And whether it be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever the case may be, we'll go into it according to the spirit. Now, I was watching this video earlier that the brother Yash, I believe his name is Ayash something, I always forget the brother's name, the Gadite brother out there in Mississippi, you know, brothers know who he is. And he put up a video. It was a short video, you know, they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. And pretty much he just played that song, It'll All Be Over. And he had a bunch of pictures of Jake being lynched, you know, being sold on auction blocks. And then there was this one picture with a Gadite woman and her daughter that were being auctioned off. And then there was a testimony at the end of it of a Gadite that was in one of those boarding schools. And oh boy, what's this guy talking about? So he gave his testimony about, you know, about the hardships that he had in the boarding schools. And all these years later, the water, brother. And all these years later, you can see he's an older man now, pretty much broken, distraught. And all these years later, as he was telling his story, you know, he still couldn't hold back the tears. You know, he had to fight those tears because that left a fucked up impression. And a lot of times with Judah, they think that they're the only ones that caught hell, because a lot of the stuff that happened to the so-called Latin tribes and Native American Indian tribes, which are also Israelites, are not really recorded. And if they are, they're very hush-hush about it, you know, because it's a very shameful, you know, history, a very shameful past, you know. And the majority of people, you know, they know that, yeah, Esau came here and took the land, but they don't know all of the atrocities that were committed by these devils, you know, and the hardships that they put Gad through and the other Israelites through. But this is all part of, you know, prophecy, because, you know, we were supposed to go down, you know, because of our disobedience and our hard-headedness. So I'm going to get a quick precept here in the book of Genesis 49 and 19. It says Gad, which Gad means troop. This is the so-called North American Indians. You know, you have some that were all throughout the so-called United States. You had some that are up in Canada. And pretty much all 10 tribes are pretty much scattered throughout North, Central, South America, Canada, Caribbean islands. Some of them speaking Spanish. You know, so all the tribes are mixed everywhere, you know. So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. So now, how were the so-called North American Indians brought down? Through the U.S. cavalry. You know, and the U.S. cavalry, what it did was they would isolate Gad, or they would have Gad go out to war, and then those faggots would attack the villages and kill the women and the children, because, you know, show you how much of a coward they are. But they call Gad savages, they call them cowards, you know, because they would retaliate, or because they would defend themselves, but they were the real cowards. So when they went to, I believe that was a battle of Wounded Knee, if I'm not mistaken, they went, as their manner is, to go and kill the children and the women, but they didn't realize how big that whole, how deep Gad was out there, and they ended up getting fucked up. That was, I think that was the last battle Custer was in, if I'm not mistaken, on the battle Wounded Knee. So they got what they deserve, because that's what they do. But it says that Gad, a troop shall overcome him. So what happened was, seeing that they couldn't really deal with Gad hand to hand, because there were accounts of certain Gadites that Esau would shoot at them, and they would dodge the bullets and come up to Esau and kill him. There were actual accounts of that. So what happened was, seeing that they couldn't take Gad down, because Gad was one of the warriors back in the days. They were they were experiencing guerrilla warfare, and they're warriors. So what happened was, the Lord gave them the sword, which was a Gatling gun, and the Gatling gun is what was able to cut Gad down to a manageable size. And between the Gatling gun, disease, and Sambos among the so-called North American Indians, these scouts that helped take Gad down, that's how they were able to accomplish that, and that was because the Lord sanctioned it. And those same Sambo Indians, that helped the Esau put their brothers in slavery, on them reservation camps, they ended up being in those reservation camps when their services were no longer needed. So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. And we're coming to that point now where they're about to overcome at the last. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get the land back, because this land is going to be destroyed. So what sense is it for Gad to get the land back and overcome it? Yeah, we got the land back, and the Lord's going to destroy the land. See, it's talking about eventually the Lord is going to vindicate them. That's why in Revelation, I believe it's 17, and other chapters in Revelation, it speaks about that this place is soaked with the blood of the saints. Matter of fact, let's get one in Revelation 17. I know there's a couple of them in there. Let's get the one in Revelation 17 and 6. And I saw the woman, which is America, Babylon the Great, drunken. So it's not just a matter of blood-soaked or a handful of, Gadites that they killed. They were drunk off of the blood of Gad. And this is why the Lord said that blood was going to pursue them, which I'm going to hold on to that next. Let me get that, and then let's read this this account here. Revelation 17 and 6, it says, and I saw the woman, which is America, drunken with the blood of the saints. Who are the saints? The Israelites. And that's going with Gad, Reuben, Issachar, Judah, and all the rest of the tribes that they slayed, are here and on the soils of America. Let me see, there's a couple of precepts here. I just want to see what they say. Let's see, is that R and S, number 6. And 15 can't be fit. Well, yeah, and 6, 9 through 10. Let me see something. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's read that again. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushai. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Yeah, so this woman, America, is soaked with the blood of the saints. And now we know that the only way for this to be rectified is for the ones that did the killing, for them to be, slain. The ones that shed the blood, for their blood to be shed. Just bear with me, just a couple of precepts coming to mind. I'm trying to get all of them. There was one more, but I think it escaped me. Let me see. Oh no, yeah, here we go. Let me hold that with this. All right, so, and that's the only way that that can happen. So, seeing that those so-called founding forefathers and the cavalry and all that, seeing that they're dead and long gone, how is it that they're going to pay for the atrocities that they've committed? Well, because of reincarnation. You keep coming back every so many generations. As the scriptures say, third or fourth generation. That's what the Lord said. He will visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. Why? Because that's around the time when you're coming back. All right. So Numbers 35 and 33 says, so you shall not pollute the land wherein you are. So America is polluted with the blood of the saints. We read that the woman was drunken with the blood of the saints. And you see how they cut down Gad, you know, Issachar, you know, the Reuben, you know, and there's a lot more Reubenites than just in Florida. You know, don't think that just Reuben was just in Florida. No, Reuben is a tribe. They're a big tribe, and they were always around Gad. So a lot of those individuals you think are Gadites are really Reubenites. You know, it all depends. You know, so don't think that, okay, well, Reuben is just in Florida. No, Reuben was scattered all over the place. And, you know, they were also brought over to Louisiana and all those different regions, you know, in different states out west. You know, so don't think that Reuben was only in Florida. So they got a lot of blood on their hands. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land. Yeah, and this land, America, is defiled with the blood of the saints of the Most High. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So the only way that this can be rectified is by, you know, the ones that did the bloodshedding to have their blood shed. And that's why, you know, in these times, we have there's so many people on the planet Earth. There's so many millions of people in America, because some of those Edomites that did all this killing, you know, are back. You know, some of them might be in the spirit world, but a lot of them are back in this time. And when the Lord brings the destruction, the nuclear destruction, a lot of them are going to die in that nuclear destruction as a payback, you know, or beginning payback for their atrocities. And then eventually, when they come back in the kingdom of heaven, you know, they'll be servants, slaves, you know, so they'll be paying double. So when we read in Isaiah 26 and 20, you know what, I'm gonna just go to the point. 21, for behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. Yeah, because of what Esau did. You know, it goes into, you know, the other nations and Jake also, the ones that the Lord's going to judge. But we're dealing with Esau right now because of the next part of this verse. It says, for behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. So now what does it mean to disclose her blood? Because right now, as we've always said, we say time and time again, you know, I know the Spirit has me say it, that what we know of the bloodshed of Judah, you know, the cargo slave ships, you know, the different rapings and killings and pillaging and murders and all that, what we know are only estimations. The Israelites that were here on the island of Puerto Rico, there were Israelite women on the island of Puerto Rico. Inside joke. But what we know are just estimations. You know, there's no way in really fully knowing how many Jakes, you know, these devils killed. Because remember, it said that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints. So the word for disclose is galah, to uncover, remove. So pretty much what the Lord is doing is he's uncovering what's been covered up. Now that situation with the Gadite children in these boarding schools up in Canada, there's only, I believe it was 8 of them, because the brother Gada one sent me a list. There was a whole lot more churches, but there was only 8 so far that they found the remains of children there. And that's one thing that the Gadite brother was saying, that they beat him, man. That said they beat him because he didn't speak English, so they beat his language out of him. You know, they beat it out of him. You know, they cut his hair. I mean, they totally humiliated Gad. And a lot of times they beat him so bad they would die. You know, I'm pretty sure they starved him. You know, and just did all kind of inhumane shit. But this is what happens when you make a deal with the devil. You know, they said, look, you can't, this is your land, but you can't live on the land. This is your land, but you're savages. Because we're taking it, you're supposed to just give it to us. You ain't supposed to fight back against us. This is the mentality of these fucking devils. You know? Like, they had the fucking nerve, you know, to call somebody a savage because they're defending what's theirs. But if they defend what's theirs, then that's their right. They're in their right mind. And the people that's attacking are the savages. You know, and this is the audacity of these goddamn devils, man. You know, telling somebody to go back to their own land when them motherfuckers ain't in their own land. The world that they got, they took it. They don't belong nowhere else but in Mount Seir, Petra, you know, Edom, the land of Edom. That's where they belong. They don't belong all over the world where they're at. But that was prophecy, and the prophecy had to be fulfilled. So it says, so we read disclose. There's more to it, but I just got to the point. It says, for behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. Why? Because there has been no punishment for those things. You think you're going to murder the people of the Lord and then just get away with it? You think you're going to cause all these heinous acts, cause all this misery and suffering, and you're just going to get away with it scot-free? You're just going to become a Christian and you're just going to accept Jesus, sweet Jesus, and just waltz into the kingdom of heaven? Are you out of your fucking mind? But this is how these devils think. Because unlike you Israelites out there, these devils, even though they're nothing, they're violent in the earth, they're the lowest form of species on the planet, they think themselves to be royal. They have a ruling class mentality, unlike you jakes out there. So it says, the earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Yeah, so it's going to be known that the Lord is, that they're not going to be able to cover their slain anymore. Now when we read the book of Nahum, the first chapter, because these devils are not going to hold themselves guilty of the crimes that they've committed, and we could read it. Zechariah 11 and 5. I'm starting at 4. Thus saith the Lord, my power, feed the flock of the slaughter. Who's the flock of the slaughter? The Israelites. Whose possessors slay them. Who's the possessors? The other nations. And this time is Esau. And whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. See? And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So you sellouts, you sambos, you know, you sambos out there, you sellouts, you house individuals, house Negroes, or whatever you want to call yourself. You know, you don't pity the flock. You don't care about the flock. You just care about yourself. And you Edomites and you other nations, you done a lot of wickedness to the Lord's people, but you still don't think that you should pay for that. So that's why Nahum 1 and 3 says, the Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. So the Most High is not going to acquit you. He's not going to give you clemency. He's not going to give you a pardon. He's not going to reduce your sentence. You're going to pay to the fullest. Why? Let's go Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. So your hatred for us is immense. It's immense. You know, there's not a greater hatred in the world than what you have for the Israelites. You have an immense hatred for our people, and that's why you've done the things that you've done. And you feel within your heart of hearts that you shouldn't pay for the crimes that you've committed. So it goes on to say, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. And you have done that. All you got to do is check your track record. We know your track record, okay? Inside joke. By the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. So in any time you had the upper hand over us, and we were in a position to where you know, our punishment with the Lord was up, you kept going. You said you helped forward the affliction. You helped, you know, make matters worse. You know, you went overboard, as it says in Zephaniah 1 and 15. I'm sorry, Zechariah 1 and 15. You went overboard with it. So what do you think is going to happen to you? Here it is, you know, matter of fact, let's go to Jeremiah real quick. We'll come back to this. What do you think is going to happen to you? Here it is, the people of the Lord, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, caught all kind of hell. And we're the beloved of the Lord. You know, what do you think is going to happen to you? The one that the Heavenly Father hates. And you've caused all this calamity and commotion and atrocities that you've committed against the people of the Lord. What do you think is going to happen to you? Jeremiah 49 and 12. And you're not going to be acquitted. You're not going to get off. You're going to pay. Bottom line. All of the misery, all that misery, all those tears, all of that heartache that you caused. And then, you know, whenever you watch those things, it says that there should be no might in our hands to do anything. So we were hopeless. We were helpless at that time. Nothing you could do. Here it is, somebody is intruding upon you, you know, treading on your rights, so to speak, and there's nothing you could do about it. How do you think that will make somebody feel? And when you watch that video, you watch the Gadite brother, he's older now, you can see he's broken. You know, you can see he's broken. He's so broken that all of these years later, all of these decades later, he can't tell the story without shedding tears. That does a work on your psyche, man. So what do you think is going to happen to you? You're gonna pay double for what you've done. You're gonna be hopeless. You're gonna be screaming. You're gonna be crying. You're gonna be, I mean, it's unimaginable the shit that you're gonna go through. Because you gotta pay back. Here it is, the Heavenly Father's greatest possession on the earth, his inheritance suffered under your hands. What do you think is gonna happen to you? This is Jeremiah 49:12. For thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and that was us. We weren't supposed to drink of this cup, even though we eventually would have to anyway, because prophecy had to be fulfilled. But we weren't supposed to drink of that cup. The Most High created us to be royalty, a peculiar treasure to him, you know, a royal priesthood. You know, we were supposed to be the la creme de la creme, you know, the top of everything, you know, which we were at one time. And all nations lauded us for the greatness that we had. During the time of King Solomon, when the Queen of Sheba, was it, came to King Solomon, you know, it said that she had no more life left in her. She almost fainted when she saw the splendor and the glory. And she thought that King Solomon was the doorman. So you could imagine how this man must have been decked out for her to think that this man was King Solomon. So that just shows you a little glimpse into what or how we're going to be. Brothers have had visions, you know, of Israelites, you know, glowing in the kingdom of heaven. You know, just being most excellent and most beautiful, you know. So you devils, man, you devils got a lot to pay for. So here it is, we had to go through that, right? It says, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? So are you going to go unpunished? No. In your eyes you are, because um, you've never paid for those things. And anytime you were brought to charges, even though the evidence was stacked against you, guess what? You always got off. Because of the all so-called white jury, white supremacy, you know, and all that other bullshit that comes with it. It says, but the Lord said he's not at all going to acquit the wicked. It says, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So you're going to drink of this cup. And what is that cup? That cup is slavery. Let's go to Obadiah real quick before we go back to Ezekiel. Let's go to Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 15, one chapter long. It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. So all you heathens, you're going to suffer the same thing. The first one, top of the list, is you Edomite, or are you Edomites? Because that's who Yahushua is coming to visit, which lets you know that the Edomites would be in power when the Lord would come back. There's no denying that. So if that's the case, who is in power? Or do we have to wait for the Arabs to get in power, take over the world, because they call them Edomites? Or we're going to have to wait for the Edomites to come out of the grave, because they no longer exist according to certain dickheads out there, and wait for them to come up out of the graves, take over the world, and then the Lord come back, when all the signs are in place that the Lord is coming back soon. Huh? So by process of elimination, the people that are in power are the so-called white people, you know, beginning with the international banking families. So who are the Edomites? The Edomites will be in power when the Lord will come back. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So it says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. You reap what you sow. He shall receive wrong for the wrong which ye have done. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. See? So your reward is going to return back upon your own head. And the Lord said, even if you recompense him, you'll return your recompense back into your face. Because you got to pay, man. It says, for as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, which are the Israelites, so shall all the heathen drink continually. What's that dealing with? That's dealing with slavery. You put us in slavery, you sold us as slaves. Elder Bishop Ayathan did a lesson on it, you know, on Wall Street, and the beginning of Wall Street, and how it was pretty much built upon slave labor, you know, the place where they would meet. They actually set up a building where they would meet, you know, to hire out, you know, slaves, or to buy slaves, or whatever the case was, you know. And then you had insurance companies that are still around to this day, that you could put insurance on slaves, going way back, and they're still around today. They insure your houses, your cars, and your goods, or whatever the case may be. So you got to pay for all of that, man. It says, for as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. What does that mean, they shall be as though they had not been? That means that a slave has no rights. A slave is a nobody. So you're going to go from being a somebody to being a nobody. When Judah was in slavery, you know, Ephraim, the other tribes, when they were conquered by the conquistadors, they were as nobodies. You know, the big wigs were the Spaniards, or the English, or the so-called American, the so-called European, by whatever name they called themselves. You know, they were the shit, and the slaves were the shit. You know, that comes out the other end. So that's what you got to look forward to. A future of nothing but pain and misery until you finish paying for what you've done. And then after your 1,000 years of your hardcore slavery, you're going to be gathered up. Every last one of you devils is going to be gathered up and burnt up. And that's the only solution that I can see to get rid of this parasite from off the face of the earth. This parasite that sucks everything dry until there's nothing left, and then goes back for seconds and thirds and fourths. They'll suck the life out of a corpse and then keep going back and try to see if they can find anything else in there. And that's what these devils are. That's what they're like. That's what they were created to do. They're automatons of wickedness. They're robots of evil. Robots. They're robots of evil. The evil personified. So back in Ezekiel 35 and 5, let's read that again. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So no matter where you go, this blood is going to pursue you. And the curses in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter and everywhere else are going to be applied to you now. So there's not going to be any might in your hands. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be sold into slavery. You know, and I mean, a plethora of things. You're going to have vexation, you know, on all that you put your hands forth to do. You're going to build and you're not going to inhabit because you're going to be living in pits. You know, at the end of the day, after you done bust your ass, you're going to go down to the pit, and that's if you get a chance to rest. You know, might work you to the bone, work you to death, like you did our brothers, you know, like you did our forefathers. You would make the Tainos go up into mountains, carve the whole mountain out, and then you would work them till they would just drop dead. Whew, man. You in some serious trouble, man. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So yeah, so this is what's coming to you. This is what's coming to you. You know, this is what's coming to you. Now let's go from there to the book of Nahum 3 and 1. It says, woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery, the prey departeth not. Yeah, and that was applied to the ancient Nineveh, and now that applies to you because you're the modern day Nineveh. So now let's go from there to the book of Habakkuk. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably end there, but you know, oh no, I got one more. One more that just came to mind. Before I read this one, matter of fact, no, let's read this and let me get that, so I won't forget it. Because, you know, we getting old, you know, so we have to, you know, take those 20-second pauses, you know, because we're getting old, you know, so we got to write stuff down and, you know, stop and think, you know, before we speak, according to some clowns. Taking in 20-second pauses, and if we're here another 20 years, that'll happen to me too. Fucking clowns out there, man. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 9. It says, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Yeah, and that's what these devils did. You know, the evil covetousness was what? They took people, put them into slavery that don't belong to them. They stole people's lands, you know, Gad, Reuben, Issachar, you know, Ephraim, Manasseh, Asher, you know, Naphtali, you know, all the different tribes. Took their land, put the inhabitants or the indigenous, put them on concentration camps, which they call reservations, you know, mistreated them, separated the families, you know, separated the families, the children from the parents, to re-educate the children. And it wasn't just a re-education, it was a beating. It was horrible. There were deplorable conditions that were taking place, to the point where they would cause death And that's why Gadites are burning down those churches out there in Canada. And this is what was it was covered up, and the Lord is making it come out to keep that hatred going. That's what the scripture said. That matter of fact, let me get that. Let me get that since it came to mind. Where I can tell you how about Shimmy how shy. Boy, cause it's gonna be it's gonna be some fireworks on your ass, Esau, man. The firemen ain't gonna be able to come around quick enough to put that fire out on your ass, motherfuckers, man. You motherfuckers are gonna get it, man. Your ass is gonna be on fire every day. Ezekiel 25:14, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Because you're gonna know the vengeance of the Lord. Oh yeah, you don't want to pay, but you're gonna pay. You don't want to take responsibility, but the Lord's going to make you fess up. The Lord's going to make you walk his walk. So it says, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Yeah, because your whole world is going to be destroyed, going to be collapsed. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. And that's all you've done. That's why in Revelation 18 it says, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Because it was built upon violence, it's going to go down on violence. You reap what you sow. He shall receive wrong for the wrong which you have done, or something along those lines. I'm not quoting it verbatim in Colossians 3:25. Behold, is it not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? That's right. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord. This is twofold. This is talking about when the chariots come, the whole world, the chariot is going to cover the whole world, the whole globe. And also right now we're going through the process of the knowledge of the Lord covering the earth through the medium of the internet. You know, those different signals going around the world, pushing out this word. It says, as the waters cover the sea. All right, so now let's go from there to the book of Revelation 13:9-10. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There's no deep mystery breakdown, deep parabolic cracking your nut or twisting your noodle, you know, to try to understand what that means. It's, if you lead somebody into slavery, you're going to go into slavery. If you kill somebody with the sword, you're going to be killed with the sword. Bottom line. That's why it says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute judgment upon the heathen and punishments upon these nations. You know, to bring upon them the judgment written, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. So that's all going to happen. These are literal things. That's not a spiritual thing. That's not a parabolic thing. It's not a riddle. It's actuality. Then it goes on to say, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So if you Israelites out there ain't waiting for this, then you're in the wrong spirit, man. And the Most High is going to move you right out the way. You're going to suffer the same fate with these devils. Because there should be no way that in 2021, after all of this stuff that's come out on these devils, for you to have that, oh, well, you know, that was in the past. You know, we got jobs now. You know, we got cable, we got cell phones or smartphones. You know, we got a car or whatever. You shouldn't have that mentality. You should have the mentality like, what they did to me, we're going to get them. And don't come to me with that old, tired-ass plantation Christian breakdown. Oh, it says love your enemies. No, they ain't talking about them devils. It's talking about your own brothers and sisters. Your Israelite brothers and sisters. What you have a disdain for, you kill, murder, you know, do all kind of wickedness to, but then the devil that did you wrong, they get a pass. Unfucking believable when you really think about that shit. That shit just does something to you, man. When you think about that shit, man. They'll give this fucking devil a pass, but their own people, you know, they won't give a pass to. Unfucking believable, man. That's why 2/3 of you, man, it's gonna be a good riddance. It's gonna be beautiful to see you get fucking annihilated, or right along with these devils. You know, and yeah, we hate the 2/3. Remember, we said that back years ago at school at 126th Street, the House of David. Oh, them devils lost it, man. Oh, they hate the 2/3. You know why they got all upset and all moist and, you know, and uncomfortable and started scrunch or whatever they face like that? Because they're part of the 2/3. That's why they got a fucking attitude about it. You know? Oh, you hate them. In other words, you hate the 2/3. You hate me. That's what the attitude that they had. And we hate the 2/3. You goddamn right we hate the 2/3. You know? And any of you that and this time I'm using the word hate, yes. And any of you out there that are against Yahweh Bashem Shai, we hate you too. So this time I use the word hate, so you can quote me on that. All right. So now let's go from there to the last precept, unless something else comes up. The book of Obadiah 1:18. And the house of Jacob, which is the southern kingdom, shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph, which is the northern kingdom, a flame, and the house of Esau, which is the so-called white man, for stubble. So you got fire, you got a flame, and you got stubble. So the nation of Israel coming together is eventually going to grab the nation of Esau, gather them together, and they're going to become stubble. And they shall kindle in them. So there's going to be a kindling. You're going to be kindling wood, Esau, in the kingdom. After you serve your slavery. They shall kindle in them and devour them. Devour them. Nothing left. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So who spoke it? The Lord. I don't give a damn what some snaggletooth, you know, cross-eyed, cockeyed dickhead out there says. You know, the Edomites are not going to be done away with. There's going to be five Edomites that's going to deny their fathers. They're going to be ashamed of their fathers, and they're going to come into the fold. Get the fuck out of here, man. Ezekiel 35:15. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, meaning you Edomites, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. So you ain't going to escape, Esau. Your other nations ain't going to escape either. You know? So payback is a bitch, man. You know? And you devils are on a fast track to it. As we see the prophecy speaking and popping, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, devil. You know, push what you got to push. You know, just keep backing people into a corner so this whole thing can just happen, so the Lord can do his thing and bring us into the kingdom, which the Lord is doing his thing by making you do what you're doing, you know. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.